So in today's video, I'm going to educate you in how to take the decision in which to buy the FTR 1200 or the Indian Scout. And maybe some of you are thinking that these two bikes is so different so you can't compare them, but it's actually not an uncommon question that I get. So I will try my best to compare these two bikes up against each other so you can take your own decision in the end of this video. And before we jump into the video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It would be much appreciated, and hit the little notification bell. You know it's there, I know it's there, so just hit it. Thank you so much. Let's go. Because these two bikes are so different and in their own category, you shouldn't care too much about the numbers, but just to have everything summed up in one video, let's have a look at it. The FTR 1200 is a 1203cc liquid-cooled V-twin engine that performs 120 horsepower and also 120 Newton meters. But the way this bike is built, it's freaking brutal. I swear it's brutal. I've ridden on so many bikes with 150 plus horsepower, but the FTR is far more torquey. In the front we have the Brembo dual 320mm T5 rotor with a 4-piston caliber. And in the rear end we have the Brembo single 260mm with a 2-piston caliber. Also the T5 rotor. So the brake system performs so well, but it also should, because it has to control all this brutal power this bike has. The 2022 model, this is a 2019, but the 2022 model comes with 17-inch wheels with the Metzeler Sportec M9RR tires, so you are going to have a lot of grip in those tires. If you're looking on older FTR models like this one, it comes with a 19-inch front wheel and an 18-inch rear wheel, and then it comes with these Dunlop DT3R tires, which is much more flat track inspired to complement the look, but they handle horrible. So that's why on my own FTR 1200 I took the 2022 wheel, put it on my 2019 FTR, so I still had the flat track inspired look with the big front wheel, but I had a much better variety of tire choices instead. The Indian Scout bobber has an 1133cc, and then notice, liquid cooled V-twin engine, so it performs 100 horsepower and then 97 Newton meters. So the Indian Scout is one of the best performance you will get out of a chopper in this size. And you never feel that you're missing some effect or anything like that, because the 100 horsepower is more than enough for a bike in that category. So the Scout comes with single 298mm rotors in the front and in the rear, but in the front you have 2-piston calibers, and in the back you have a 1-piston caliber. So it's not a brake system worth bragging about to anybody, but the bike is not built for having max effect and max power, so it works completely fine. It comes with 16-inch wheel in the front and rear, and then it's born with the Pirelli MT60 RS tires, so it's actually born with some of the better cruiser tires on the market. Next up, let's have a little chat about the design of these two different bikes. The FTR is a flat track inspired motorcycle, and I love how it's true to its own heritage. High ground clearance, wide handlebar, a sleek end, and then funny enough, a flat line through the tank seat and rear piece. And because I do own a FTR 1200 myself, I could talk for days about the FT 1200 and how beautiful it is, but it's not the purpose of this video, so I'm not going to do that. The design of the Scout bobber is designed to look like a bobber, but you can put it in the chopper, cruiser, or whatever genre. Amazingly low seat height, a low ground clearance, of course, for having this absolutely clean look. Short fenders, wide handlebar, wide tires is all complement the style of this bike is. And a very, very nice feature with the Indian Scout, it is that it is a bolt-on type of frame, so the customization opportunities are endless. A huge plus for those who really like to put their own flavor on their own motorcycle. So talking about the design, these two bikes are built to look completely different. So here it's up to yourself and what your own personal preference is. The more street bike kind of feel or vibe, or the low rider, I'm not in a hurry vibe. So the ergonomics for the FTR 1200 is a combination of relaxed and aggressive, even though how weird it actually sounds. A wide seat, an upright position, and then together with the wide handlebar, you get a very nice overall control, but there are no problem in having a more leaning in forward, aggressive style of riding. The leg position on the FTR 1200 is like on all other street bikes. It's bent in underneath yourself, but not in a cramped position, just like on a super bike. But this also sums up the flat track style of bike, the upright position, just like on an off-roader, but ready to race with your lower half. I love this combination. The wheelbase on the FTR is 1525 millimeters, and the overall length is 2223 millimeters. A seat height at 780 millimeters, so it is one of the more higher bikes on the market. The FTR 1200 is a more heavier bike, and it is noticeable when riding, but actually not in a bad way. Having this type of power delivery the FTR has on a flimsy bike would be a total disaster. So the weight is actually not something that affects the handling. Maybe a little bit on a track day, then you can feel it's a heavier bike, but for street use, not at all. And if you're not going with the base model, you also get the fully adjustable Olin suspension setup with the gold front fork and with the piggyback shock in the rear end. The Scout is a cruiser, no doubt in that, and with the incredibly low seat height at only 649 millimeters, you really get this close to the asphalt lowrider kind of feel when riding on the Scout. The seat and the handlebar is in a nice distance to each other, so you don't have this feeling of you have to reach the handlebar when riding. That is a huge plus for the Scout. An overall nice seating position with the semi-open legs. Nothing aggressive about that. And funny enough, the Scout has the exact same overall length as the FTR, even though when riding it feels a little bit longer, but it fits in the same garage. With the FTR 1200, except for the base model, which is installed with an analog speedometer, which in my personal opinion looks 10 times better. You get a 4.3-inch TFT display, which is powered by Ride Command. So you can hook up your phone to the TFT display and then track a lot of information, but also share your rides with other fellow Indian riders. A awesome feature, actually. But besides that, you get 3 rider modes: lean angle stability control, cornering, pre-control ABS, wheelie control, traction control, and rear cylinder deactivation, so you get a much better heat management, so you don't get fired up in between your legs. With the Scout, you get ABS and a USB port. But what else do you need? And actually, in my opinion, I do love bikes with less electronics. That is why my own FTR is a base model, because I don't care too much about ride modes and stuff like that. It's very, very nice and convenient for beginner riders, but for me that has been riding for many years. Maybe the traction control. I would love the traction control, but I don't care too much about it. I like when there is less electronics. So talking about value, that will always be a personal preference. But the FTR 1200 has a price point that begins at $13,000, and that is actually $2,500 cheaper than the new Harley-Davidson Sportster S that you may compare this bike to. And the FTR is not a cheap bike, but I also own one for myself, but I do believe that the FTR is worth each and every penny. The Scout has a price point that starts at only $9,000, so are you looking for a new motorcycle in the cruiser segment? This is one of the cheapest options out there. And even though the price point starts as low as $9,000 for a new motorcycle, the build quality is phenomenal. So that was it, folks. I hope that I could answer some of your doubt or question, and if you have any further questions, please share them in the comments and I surely will try to get back to all of you. So that was it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you aren't already, and if you're new here, welcome. It is so nice to see you. The weather is nice. See ya.